time, your gateway to the world. AFR! American Freedom Radio. Give it to them.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
Good evening, everyone, and happy Monday. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight, October 14, 2013. Welcome, Soul Journeys Radio on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. No, I didn't get confused at all with the new music, but it's all good. As long as we stop resisting it, right? Woohoo! Hope you all had an awesome weekend. It's so good to be here tonight. We are back at our 4-day-a-week schedule here. That's Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 p.m. here on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. And while we've been going through changes here at the station, just a couple things have changed just this month. Normally, Shaman Avalon Sakti joins us on the second Tuesday of the month. But because of some changes that we went through, we didn't want to miss her show, so we have her joining us here tonight, which is a Monday. Next month, we will be back to our regularly scheduled program of being on the second Tuesday, and we've got a big topic tonight. So if you would like to join us on the text chat, you can go to souljourneysradio.com. Any questions or comments, please feel free to give us a call tonight at 218-339-8525. That's 218-339-8525. And the topic we are discussing tonight, the machinations of the dark side. So you started on your spiritual journey, and instead of your life turning into lollipops and rainbows and unicorn overnight, you might feel like your world is crumbling. And as you're struggling to patch the pieces of your life together, you may find that friends and loved ones abandon you, become alienated, or maybe acting extremely bizarre. Maybe your saintly teachers start looking like devils, or maybe they actually are somebody influencing them or something. What type of tactics could be used by the dark side to pull you away from your path, and why would they want to do so? So again, Sakti is an experienced shaman. She can help people with past life retrievals or soul retrievals, past lives, all sorts of magic and empowerment. She does do online tuition and has a magic shop as well that you can find at her website, sacredserpent.net. That is sacredserpent.net. And I am so glad to have you here tonight. Sakti, how are you doing?
Hello, Christie. I'm very happy to be here again, as always. It's always a pleasure. And, hopefully we'll make a good show that will help some people. That's all I want to do.
That's right. I think you are doing it, and you've been doing a fabulous job. It's been a few years now already, so definitely an honor to have you here with us, joining our paths on our soul's journey. So, big topic tonight. Before we get started, maybe we can kind of talk about, some of the things that we might encounter on our spiritual path, what we might be looking forward to before we get hit by a Mack truck.
Yeah, I mean, the problems that you can run into are numerous, starting with the false teachers and getting deceived, to not being experienced enough and getting hurt. Depends what kind of path you're following and what you're doing. Generally, use common sense is always a good thing, and use your intuition. And don't be deluded by nice words, because so many people tell you such sweet, wonderful words, and then it's all false, and it's just a trick to pull you in.
Isn't that the truth? And I mean, if you're on a spiritual path, isn't the whole point learning to trust your intuition, your innate knowing that is already there? I mean, despite how wonderful teachers like you can be, Sakti, if we can't tell the truth between a lie, your words mean nothing.
Yeah, the problem is that there's so much deception going on, and people have really unlearned to use their intuition, and it's all by design. We are being pulled into the left brain paradigm and the rational mind. So many people, for them, their intuition is like a shriveled up limb that's never been used. You know what happens if, say, you're putting your leg in a cast, and after 3 or 4 weeks, there isn't much muscle left on it.
Yeah, imagine what happens putting your intuition or your heart in a cast for 40 years.
Exactly. People really don't know how to use their intuition anymore, and we've been very disconnected. And that's actually another show that I would like to do about the disconnection that many people are experiencing and how we can heal that, because I hear this so frequently. It's almost like at least one person out of 3 will say, that contacts me, will say, I feel disconnected. And so we've been disconnected from our soul, from our intuition, from Mother Earth and our environment, and also from each other. I think when we're talking about the dark side and the machinations of the dark side and what happens with the spiritual path, the first thing we have to be aware of is that whatever you do, there's always resistance.
Yes.
In a way, resistance is a good thing because it helps us grow. Same as when you go to the gym and you want to work your muscles. If there wasn't any resistance, your muscles wouldn't grow. But of course, too much of it can do some serious damage to you. And resistance can be both within and without. So there can be forces from the outside that are resisting as soon as you start developing yourself or becoming more positive. And then there's also inner forces that will resist. Sometimes I call it the inner pig.
Embrace your inner pig.
That doesn't want to change. And okay. It can be many reasons. Some people are just afraid of their power, for instance. Yeah. So they think that if they get more powerful, then they will turn evil. And that is, of course, another program that we've been inflicted with, that's been put into our minds, that power is evil. The reason why we were told this program is because the ones who want to have all the power don't want us to have ours. So they just want us to hand our power over to them so they can be even more powerful. So power is not a bad thing if you use it correctly, and if it is power within, not power over others. But this is just one of the many inner fears that people have, and the inner resistance. And even though it is not directly the machinations of the dark side, but the dark side has made sure that people have a lot of resistance to their power and to going to a higher state of mind. A lot of people also are afraid if they go into higher states of consciousness that it means that their loved ones will not love them anymore, leave them, which can, of course, happen, unfortunately, or that they are losing themselves or becoming annihilated somehow. Yeah. It's a very, very common fear, the annihilation fear. I hear that many times, that people are afraid that there will be just nothing. And this is, of course, not true unless you're choosing to go into nothingness, which I wouldn't recommend.
It's all right for brief moments.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. For brief moments, it can be nice. Good rest, I tell you. Anyway, so there's the inner resistance, and then, of course, it's from the outside. And it takes so many different forms. It comes through physical and non-physical means. Some of it is certainly done by certain people and agencies, and some of it seems to be by non-physical entities or just an energetic thing. Sometimes it's hard to know which is which. And then once your power grows to a certain level, or your spiritual awareness, you'll find that things get thrown at you quite constantly. And at that point, many people crack up. The problem is, some will
not like a ha-ha-ha crack up either, right?
Oh, no, it'll be like more like a cracked pot or plate that you gotta throw away afterwards. Now, the problem is that some people will then think, okay, well, before I did all this spiritual stuff, my life was great, and now it's horrible. So I'll just go back to how I was before, and they try this, but it doesn't work. Because when you have made a certain effort in a certain direction, a part of you has made a commitment in your heart. Even you might not have spoken any words out loud, and the universe just won't allow you to sink down again. So you have really no other choice but to go forward. And this is sometimes called a snake has entered the bamboo. Because when a snake crawls into a bamboo which is hollow, there's no U-turn. You can't go back.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? So, I mean, I guess what I understand from, the spiritual path is it's not looking for the new, latest, and greatest, best teacher. It's learning to trust ourselves and step into our power, or let that which is not serving us fade away and trust that process, even if you are a broken pot or plate or Christie.
Yeah, of course, the spiritual journey is not a journey of dependency. You're not going to be like a little child on mommy's hand the whole time. It just can't happen like this. In the beginning, of course, you need a guide. Just think of it if you had to go through a very large and dangerous forest, and there are some people who know the way, and they can show you the way, and they can give you some advice on what you might encounter and how to tide over these difficulties and avoid dangers and pitfalls. Then, of course, you will listen to them very carefully because they got wisdom and experience. But in the end, you are the one who has to walk through that dangerous forest and come out the other end. And you can't just ask them to hold you by the hand and go with you all the way and sort out any problems for you. And that would be very empowering either.
So true. Absolutely. And so true. You can't go back. And you know what? I've tried. I get little glimpses of, we'll just call it source. And then it's like, oh, my gosh, wow, that was cool. And then like 10 minutes later, it's like, uh-oh, I don't know if I can handle this. I'm weak. I'm afraid. I'm not good enough. And what do I do next? And look around. And, there's like the mines in a battlefield all around me. And, when it comes down to it, we are the only ones we have to rely on if we really do want to do this. But in those occasions, I've tried inserting myself back into the illusion, and it's not really working out that way, no matter how safe we might think it is. Thankfully, though, I have learned through my failures, through my experiences, that, sometimes we can take a leap off of that 400-yard tall cliff, and there will be a net below us. Or maybe we're strong enough to finally land on our feet without breaking a thing.
Or you can fly.
That too? Absolutely. All right. Well, so, we're talking about the topic tonight, the machinations of the dark side. And, of course, we're using that term as relative, as you've expressed already, the good, the bad, these challenges, the obstacles, they are all for our greatest growth, no matter how bad they seem at the time. I'll just be honest here. I mean, I felt so bad. I'm like, oh, gosh, if there really is a God or whoever, whatever you are, just take me out of here. I can't do this anymore. And it's kind of like, I don't know, has anyone ever gone bungee jumping or jumped out of a plane or maybe even swam for the first time where you're like, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. And then you just jump in and you're like, wow, I did that. What was all that worry for?
Yeah. I think we are a lot stronger than we give ourselves credit for. We can go much further than we could think. I remember years ago I was I was hiking with a partner, and we got lost, and it was very, very hot and we had not enough water. And we got totally exhausted and we couldn't go on anymore. And he was going on like, oh, I'm going to die, I'm going to sit down. And and I kept on thinking of, like, I would look at a rock like 20 meters away, and I would think, I'll walk to that rock and I'll sit down, I'll never get up again. when I reached that rock, I would look at the next rock 20 meters further, and I said, I'll make it to that rock, then I'll take a break. And I walked like this for miles and miles and for hours, always just thinking of the next rock ahead. Sometimes it's good if you don't think of all the difficulties and how many years of difficulties are ahead of you, but just deal with one obstacle at a time.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifilan brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifilan. There's nothing else like Modifilan. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifilan banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
No rules. No rules. No taboo topics. No taboo topics. No fear of doom. No fear of doom. We are American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
On AmericanFreedomRadio.com, and I'm sorry, we're having a little issue with the caller line tonight, so I will ask if you do have any questions or comments, just join us in the text chat at SoulJourneysRadio.com, and, you know, I do my best to keep up with all of the shenanigans in there, but I am not perfect, so if you could help me out, just maybe put all of the questions in all caps, so they can kind of stand out, and I will make sure to read your questions over the air. But we are talking about the machinations or mechanisms of the dark side, some of the things that might come into play while you are on your spiritual path. And Sakti, I'm getting a few comments in the chat that apparently this is a timely topic for many of us here. And in fact, I hope they don't mind me sharing, but a couple of the comments were, I think the minds turn you against your liberators as a last defense. And one person actually said he thought, holy smokes, we're a cult, you know, in reference to our show and our text chat or something along those lines, and had some serious resistance in the last couple weeks during his growth. So I know those feelings, and it's, you know, maybe it's that mind prison we create for ourselves. Maybe there's something else going on, but I know always, at least in my life, right before I get to the core of something, there's all this fear that makes me want to go back. You know, it's like, no, please take me back into the matrix. I promise I'll do better this time. Or whatever. You know, I kind of have that comfort. So what's going on here?
Well, some of it can be really from inside. It can be the ego. The ego gets really afraid that its rule over your life is going to be over, so it's going to try to make you stop whatever you're doing. But the rest of it is usually programming, and the programming is from TV and all the BS that we listen to through the mass media, which are full of lies. And they like to keep people away from their power. So any kind of group that is doing something that isn't the usual slave life is being labeled as something evil or a cult, especially if it's a spiritual group doing anything spiritual that goes contrary to the agenda of the evil ones. I never bought into this cult thing. I never thought I'm in a cult because I just don't really watch TV. I haven't watched TV for over 10 years. A cult for me is when people are being pulled in a place where they have to give all their money and have sex with a cult leader. That's a cult.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, we've done those shows. We've in regards to the cult, we've done those shows and the red flags and things to look out for. So, oh, by the way, after the show, you all have to have sex with me. Okay, sorry, that's not good Brit humor, is it? Uh-oh. Well, okay.
Sorry, I was just sidetracked a little bit because I was trying to read the chat, what the people are asking, and trying to figure out what the questions are. All right. At least we got some good laughs again because, the best defense against the dark side I found is humor. And sometimes a good dose of sarcasm helps also.
Oh, man. Okay. All right. So, yeah, the resistance and, okay, moving on.
Right. So, but I do think there is a dark force on this planet. You can see what's going on when you look around you, and that there are certain, let's say, factions that are using a very dark magic to empower themselves and keep everybody else powerless and under control. And as soon as you start to do some real spiritual work, really transforming, then it comes down on you with incredible force. Now, I've seen this many times, and sometimes, as I said, sometimes it can be quite funny, actually, the kind of things that happen. I'll give you some examples. For example, once I was doing a sadhana, spiritual practice with mantras, Vedic mantras they were, that is Hindu mantras, and I had to do a certain number, 125,000 in 40 days. And every time I started this and I was getting towards the end of the sadhana, and by the way, it's broken, it's useless if you don't finish on time, somebody would come up and have a big problem that I had to solve for them that would disrupt my spiritual practices, and I couldn't get enough hours of meditation done. And I had to start it all over again, back from zero. I had my little counter, where I counted how many rounds of prayer beads I'd done, and I already had almost 1,000, and I was going back to zero. And this happened 4 or 5 times. When I was about to finish it, finally, and this was very funny because I was working with a goddess who basically overcomes pollution, and I had only 1 weekend left, and my neighbor suddenly came over, knocked on my door, and I never had anything much to do with her, and she said, "Can I have a look at your manhole?" And I thought, okay, this is weird. I wasn't actually quite sure what a manhole was, but it sounded dodgy to me.
It's right next to the bunghole.
Well, what had happened is, and this is like the irony of it, I was doing a mantra to overcome all pollution, and in the meantime, on her side, the sewage was flowing all over her garden, and she and some relatives been taking buckets and going back and forth, cleaning it up, and she wanted to push the blockage down to me. And wow. I said to her, "No way, you're not coming in." I said, "This is the most important weekend of my life. You can come on Monday, but you're not going to disturb me." I'm sure she was pissed off. But I went on with my mantras. I had to do 6 hours or 7 hours a day, and I managed, and I got it done. But, everything was trying to prevent me from getting this done. It was just amazing what kind of things were thrown at me. Absolutely. And that wasn't necessarily evil, dark forces and demons who did it, but there was just a kind of resistance.
Yeah, it kind of seems that way. I hear that a lot, Sakti, where people are involved in whatever they're doing on their spiritual journey, meditation, whatever, and that's when the phone rings, right? Like nothing is ever in anybody's way until they start to move forward. Then everybody needs them. Everybody's having a near-death experience and needs to
right. That's right.
When everybody and everything goes haywire. So there's got to be something to it. Is it all just coincidence?
No, I don't think so. And I do think there is a kind of dark force that doesn't want people to get enlightened or liberated. And it works through other people and people that are easy to manipulate. Most people are easy to manipulate because they got so many vices and weaknesses that they never work on eradicating. So it comes through you. In the beginning, the dark force tries to get you by manipulating you and telling you to stop this meditation, it's evil, or maybe you go to hell for it and whatever. And if that doesn't work anymore, it'll come to you through other people. And quite often it will go to your family members and people close to you first. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to make them sick or make something happen to them, but the people that are close to you will be mentally manipulated and act very strangely. I've seen like the oddest behavior in people. Some of it was just so bizarre that I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone or in a really bad movie.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one time I was traveling in the car with 2 or 3 other ladies, I think 3 other ladies, and we were going to a shamanic ceremony. And then on the way, one of the ladies started making funny sounds in the back of the car. I was driving, so I couldn't stop, and we were on a motorway. So I pulled over and went into the next smaller road and looking for a place where I could stop while she seemed to be gagging and throwing up. Finally, I stopped the car, and she got possessed. And she was rolling her eyes so that you could only see the white. She fell on the ground. She started trembling all over. And then she rolled back and forth in the grass, and this was the freakiest part. There were like really large worms coming out of the ground, like 6-8 inch long worms, about 8 or 10 of them. And I mean, if you see this kind of thing, and the other 2 ladies that were with me, they were like, one was looking in total horror, like frozen, and the other one took her sandwich out and started eating.
Baloney, right?
And I said, don't you see? Like, I said, she's being possessed, and she said, she's just making it up. But, you know, I might have believed that if I hadn't seen those worms crawling out of the earth. Yeah. And, so, I mean, these are things that I have seen people really virtually being taken over, where their faces changed and their eyes rolled like they would have been able to play in one of the best, or let's say most stupid, Hollywood movies. And it's not always so clear, but I knew another lady, whenever we wanted to meet for learning spiritual things, which was once a week, there was a problem with her children. Like, they would argue over who's going to get the bubble bath. And then she couldn't come for the class because she had to sort out the children who quarreled over the bubble bath. I mean, how trivial is that, considering you going to an enlightened state? And it's just like there tend to be little things coming up, and you just have to learn how to tide over them and focus and get these things out of the way and have a plan B, C, D, E most of the time.
And sometimes you have to be willing to just throw all of your plans out the window, because these plans that we make, at least for myself, are based only on information and experience I have acquired up to that point. And thankfully, there is much greater out there than what I might have been able to see yesterday.
Yes, I mean, we always have to be flexible to input of new information, because as we spiritually grow, we learn things, and the views that we held a year or 2 earlier may not be the same ones anymore. I mean, when I started off, I believed certain things that now I know were a lie. Some things were taught to us as a false history in school that I can only say, oh my God, I believed that. Why didn't I believe the story of the Easter Bunny then? That's how ridiculous some of these things were. And spiritually as well, you know, you seem to, in the beginning, we are so brainwashed by the programming that we received from the mainstream religions and from society. Sometimes we really don't know what is good and evil, and what is good for us and what is bad for us, because often we have been taught something that is 180 degrees different from the true reality. And undoing this programming and conditioning and coming to a deeper spiritual understanding is really a lifelong progress. So, you know, what you believe now, in 5-10 years, you may not believe the same thing anymore, because you have spiritually grown and you have deepened your understanding.
Yes. And just because you had a spiritual growth again, does not mean that that's all there is. As you said, Shakti, it is a lifelong process. Abso-freaking-lutely. I wish it was as easy as just one little growth spurt, huh?
Yeah, and people want to have it on a weekend, and then they want to get a certificate like being a black belt in karate on one single weekend, which of course doesn't work, but they want to be like a spiritual master, and then they already have the plan where they will be glorified and worshipped by others. And I just want to make this once and for all very clear, Christie. Personally, I have absolutely no interest in being famous. I would actually much prefer if nobody knew me at all, because
I know that feeling.
By nature, I like my privacy, and I like to be invisible. That's probably from my childhood, because invisibility was always good. As soon as I was in the eye of my tyrant stepfather, in the eye of Sauron, then things always went wrong. And so I don't really like to be out in the public. So I'm not doing these shows because I want to be famous and I'm getting off on people knowing me and respecting me. I'm doing these shows because I want to make a difference. And that's really why I'm doing them, Christie.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So here's a question in the chat. Not sure if it really goes exactly with, well, I guess it kind of does. I'll just read it to you. Shakti, what is your perspective on the Archon's history on Earth and their being removed from our influence by higher dimensionals and energies coming onto the Earth as she, by divine right, moves into the fifth dimension?
That's a very complex question. Okay, let's talk about the Archons first.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
Yo, what's up? Check this out. The voice of the revolution. American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
On souljourneysradio.com. And Shakti, that was very well said. I wholeheartedly agree with you on the Archons not going anywhere and, basically everything you had to say about that. I'm wondering if you wanted to finish up before we move on.
No, I think that's as much as I'd like to say about this, because I haven't done much research on the Archons. I just went to look at them once.
Okay, all right. Well, here's an interesting comment that was posted in the chat, and maybe you can offer a little insight on that. But he says, my 15-year-old son, who's not into any of this stuff, just yesterday shared this, which had come to him in a dream. He said, the seventh plane affects the third plane in ways you can't imagine. He says it wasn't his voice, and the accent was unique. He's thinking maybe it has to do with chakra or dimensional stuff. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I would have said chakras as well. And also you have to understand that the chakras are really basically stargates. They are portals to different dimensions. And this is described, for example, in the Bhagavad Gita, where they're talking about when you die and the soul leaves the body, depending on what exit gate it takes, what chakra and so on, the soul goes to different dimensions. Yeah. In case of really, really evil people, it can go out through the anus. So that I always say that puts a completely new meaning on the word a-hole.
Yeah. Well, I guess that makes sense why, anyways, that's another show, so we'll just kind of move on from that. But in regards to the dimension...
So, yeah, the higher chakras would get you to higher worlds. So they are dimensional ports to higher worlds and lower chakras to lower worlds. And so, of course, the higher planes are affecting us. We are kind of in the middle, like the Manipura chakra, which is the third one, or solar plexus chakra. And, you know, before you become a full human being, you have to have the heart chakra developed. Until that, you're not really a full human being in the classical sense, even though you might look like one.
Yeah.
And so the higher planes will affect us, and they bring many inspirations and blessings to us without us being fully aware of it, because we don't have the instruments to see and hear on the higher planes unless you're already very developed through intense spiritual practices.
Okay, very well said. And let me ask you this in regards to the different planes. I mean, I know we always hear, oh, we're in 3D and we're going to automatically move up to 5D. And, you know, I'm always wondering, where is 4D? And can we, as humankind, actually sum it up with a label or a couple of words to, you know, to really understand and explain what's going on?
You know, I tend to stick with the ancient teachings like you find in the Vedas rather than the things that are completely new, because they might be deceptive, because we're living in the age of deception now.
Yeah.
So I've never read anything in the Vedas about a 3D and a 4D and a 5D. I did read about different dimensions. And I have to make it clear, I cannot read Sanskrit. I do know the letters. I can figure out the 50 Sanskrit letters, but I'm not good enough to read actual books in Sanskrit, so I have to go by translations in the English language. But it's a very interesting study. I don't really believe in this whole 3D, 4D, and 5D thing. I think we're just being sold a pie in the sky, really, pretty much.
Yeah, I agree with that, too. I mean, I don't know. I've definitely had some out-there experiences, literally probably thousands of them in my life, and I could never label them, oh, well, that's 3D, 5D, 12D, you know, 7 billion D. It's just, they're just words. I don't know. I just can't seem to find words to place on these experiences, and even being the experiencer myself, I'm perfectly happy saying I have no freaking idea, but that was cool. Can I have some popcorn now?
Yeah, you see, because as soon as you label it and you try to put it in a category, you're in the left brain again. This is the left brain thing that wants to label everything and have a mathematical equation on everything. But on the higher states of consciousness, you know, everything's completely out of the window. You cannot classify it anymore, and you cannot explain it to anybody in words either, because words are totally inadequate. And that's why the wise men who had the experience of the cosmic vision and so on, when people ask them, like, what is it like? I mean, what is this great consciousness like, or Brahman, whatever you want to call it? Yes. And they just said, neti neti, which means not this, not that. So you cannot say what it is. You can only say what it is not.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Okay, I better start studying that, because, that makes a lot of sense to me. But here is another question in the chat. They write, Sakti, please tell us what is the best way to deal with people who are unconsciously bringing us down by their negative acts or words due to their unawareness of a better and or spiritual way to act. Am I supposed to move out of my mother's house because she's so demonic towards me for no apparent reason? What do I say to people who call me a wicked witch because I love natural healing and shamanism? And what about my Christian friends who say I'm going about my spirituality in the wrong way? I feel like dropping all my friends forever. Boy, oh boy, do I relate to that. So, good.
That's a long question, so I'll need a little bit of a longer answer, because there are different parts to it. Now, some people who bring you down and you really don't want to have anything with them anymore, you can just dissociate with them if it's possible. Obviously, it doesn't work if they are family members or colleagues that you have to still keep on working in that company, in which case you have to learn to shield yourself. And you need to, if a negative thing is being said to you, you need to immediately, at least mentally, reject it. Even if you don't say anything back, you have to mentally reject it and don't let any doubt come in. And also, to get yourself back on a higher vibration after such experiences, you can use techniques of purification and of raising your vibration. So sometimes, for example, if you feel like somebody's brought you down by their negative energy, you might feel better after you smudge yourself. And sometimes you might just want to do, half an hour of loud chanting, or go into meditation, or meet your spirit guides and talk with them about what these people said, to dispel those doubts from your mind and become clear in your mind and your heart again. So am I supposed to move out of my mother's house because she's so demonic towards me for no apparent reason? Sometimes it helps to talk it out, and sometimes people will change if you talk to them in a kind and nice way. And if it doesn't help at all, sometimes that has to be done. It's difficult with parents because when you're changing, they tend to resist that you are different now. They want you to stay always the way that they knew you, because for them that's a kind of safety factor, something that's not too scary. If you suddenly are very different, have different views and habits, and don't forget they've been programmed by TV also, so then they will think that you are in a cult or that you're taking drugs. I remember when I was 15, my mother was convinced I was taking drugs. I never took any. But that's just because I went into the local hippie shop and I bought some incense.
Oh, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, I didn't know because I bought something that I think was like a little opium pipe. And I didn't even know what it was. I thought it was a nice little ornament made of stone. And my mother was convinced that I'm a drug addict and I was taking drugs. And, So people have ideas based on if you have a different haircut or, outfit, or listen to different music or go to a meditation meeting. They've seen all these things on TV and they get their fears up. So if you feel that you need to develop and need to be out of your parents' house or away from the family for a while at least, sometimes it's a good thing. But don't throw away good relationships with your family, because I think it's important that we try to keep our blood relatives close as far as we can. I'm not a good example in this respect, I have to say, but I'm trying my best, but it didn't work in my case.
I hear that. I totally hear that. And, there is a difference, though, in regards to the question, people who are unconsciously bringing us down.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
No rules. No rules. No taboo topics. No taboo topics. No fear of doom. No fear of doom. We are American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
All right. Welcome back. Top of the second hour here tonight. Soul Journeys Radio on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. And I do apologize. We're just having a little trouble connecting to the caller line for some reason, and I do realize there's people out there that would like to talk to Shakti tonight. So in the meantime, I don't know, you could maybe add me, I guess, on Skype, or we can figure out how to bring you on by the next break if we're unable to make this caller line thing work properly. So hang in there. Until then, we do have the text chat over at souljourneysradio.com. Just post your questions in there, and if you use all caps, it'll kind of stick out. So I can ask Shakti whatever questions you have. Again, her website is sacredserpent.net. She has a ton of information about everything we're talking about here tonight and all of our past shows. The power of mantra yoga, her spiritual services, dream work, past life exploration, her magic shop as well. Excellent articles, okay, on many different topics, from sacred plants to journeying to power animals, tree spirits, smudging entities, the underworld and middle world, so check it out. And we left off Shakti. We got through about half of that question that I totally relate to. So thanks for the good advice. And she also, or I don't even know why I said she, this person also said, what do I say to people who call me a wicked witch because I love natural healing and shamanism? And what about my Christian friends?
Well, if somebody calls me a wicked witch, I feel honored because a witch is a wise woman.
Thank you very much.
I don't like the wicked word, but, that's just their judgmentalism. And generally, if people call me like that, I don't even reply because it's just beneath me. And, of course, I would rather not associate with people who talk to me like this and make them my friends. They certainly won't come in my house. And I had Christian friends, good Christian friends before, and they respected what I was doing, and I respected what they were doing, so we weren't having a go at each other. And I think if somebody is truly a loving human being, they shouldn't be constantly trying to convert you and make you feel bad about your spirituality.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, if they were real, practicing Christian or any religion, isn't the whole of the law always love and acceptance and love one another? So maybe you're triggering something in them that hopefully help them to grow in the long run.
I'm sure. And also, again, people are so programmed and they are so fear-based, How many movies have you seen with wicked witches? Always female, of course, always ugly, old, with long fingernails, usually.
Yeah. Well, here in the Bible, all you have to do is have long hair and use herbs, and you're a wicked witch. You're out there to, eat children or something crazy like that.
I have very long hair, and there was a time I had long fingernails, too, and actually the child of somebody that we met got scared of me because of the long fingernails, and they were convinced that I must be a witch. You see how this Hollywood thing is getting into the children's heads.
Isn't it amazing? Yeah. I'm going to go out, I'm going to paint a big wart on my nose and wear a hat. And then, people will think it's cool if it's a costume. But if it's just you and you live in the woods and you have long hair, you must be wicked.
Let's practice that laugh. I sometimes like pulling people's legs. I'm a bit impish, I admit it.
Well, it's fun. Might as well have fun with it, right? It's better than taking it on, because I have to say, I totally resonate with the person who asked this question. I've gone through that. In fact, even recently, as recently as 2 months ago, I felt, one of my friends said, you have to renounce your beliefs so, I can be your friend. And it just hurt me so deeply. So I think these feelings are natural and normal. I mean, of course, we can strive to not take that on and look back and laugh and give them the evil, as we're joking tonight. But it is very real, right? The people that you love, we expect, hopefully, for them to treat us the way that we treat them, but it's just not always the case. So I found the key is just, not take it on. It's just their perception at that time, and it's okay.
Yeah, Christie, that's very true what you're saying. When I was younger, I always got so hurt when people rejected me and said bad things about me, and I had a lot of gossip and slander about me that was totally lies. And I never understood why these people are doing this, why they cook up these lies, and it hurt me so badly. And now I'm different, because once you know who you are and what you're here to do, you know that when you get the ball, you will get attacked. So I just do what I feel is right. And at this point, I really don't care, even if the whole world looks down at me. If I know that in my heart I do the right thing, it doesn't matter whether people despise me or what they're thinking of me anymore. But it's difficult to come to that point, and you don't hold that kind of space all the time. There are times when you get a bit discouraged, when you get the negativity in your face, and I think there is an energy. When these people letting out hate tirades at you, there is an energy. They actually throw like energetic darts at you that get stuck in your aura. That's why often you feel quite sick after having an encounter like this. So the thing to do is do an energetic clearing. And then, we connect with whatever higher powers you're connected to, with your spirituality, and do some spiritual practices, listen to some calm music, meditative music or classical music, not something chaotic, and then just look at it logically, because whatever is reacting and is getting hurt is, in most cases, the ego.
Yeah. And maybe that part of ourself that still needs to go. So I would just say be gentle on yourself. If it does hurt you and you end up in tears like I was or whatever, just be gentle on yourself. Stop shooting on yourself. Oh, I should be more spiritually involved than this. And, just be gentle and give yourself the love that you wish that they were giving you.
Yeah, it's especially bad with family. If you get rejected by your family and if they treat you nastily, that's just really very, very difficult to handle. But what can you do, because you cannot make them love you. If they don't want to love you, the only thing that you can do is you have to just really learn how to love yourself. And you can still keep on loving them even if they don't love you. But you can't force them to love you and be nice to you.
No. Okay. Well, very well said. I think that pretty much covers that question, right? Yeah. Looks like. Okay, here's a couple more, Shakti. I guess they're kind of related, but the first one is, Shakti, with Moldavite, is it the vibration of the rock, or is it the contract of actually reaching for it?
Well, with crystals, and I like to work with crystals a lot, they have their own spirit and their own vibration, and when we put that in our energy field, it starts changing us. But there's also an interaction with our consciousness, so if you're using a crystal with intent, it's more powerful than you just hang it around your neck and let it be. So I think it's a combination of both.
Okay. I'll tell you what, I didn't really know anything about Moldavite, nor did I want to know. That's kind of how I prefer to live my life. I don't want other people programming me with what I'm supposed to feel or supposed to do. And, I kind of forgot about it, but I had a couple friends that were like, Christie, it's the Moldavite. Look at what's going on in your life. And I'm like, no. It's just a rock. What are you talking about? And then I went and looked at when I received it and, started looking at the enormous changes that have transpired in my life during that time. And I'll just say this, I'm not an expert at all, but there is definitely something to it, although my intent before I acquired the Moldavite was the same, but it could have something to do with kind of speeding it up, so to speak. The next question, Shakti, is is magic about forcing anything to happen or focusing on something to happen? What is it about, and what really is it?
Okay, magic is about learning how to use energy efficiently so that you can bring about much needed change or whatever you need to happen in your life. I wouldn't call it forcing, because usually when you use force, you break something, like when you force open a door, right? Then that door is finished. It is more understanding the energies and the currents that exist in nature and then making good use of them to get to your goal. So it's not something that requires any force, and it is, you will focus your will, because you cannot do magic without willpower. So, but it is about using energies that exist in the universe, using them efficiently, and by focusing your will at the same time bringing about that which you wish to happen.
Okay. I like that. All right. So let's kind of get back to the topic here, some of the machinations of the dark side. We have definitely touched upon the fact that other people around you may not understand your spiritual journey. During those times, people might be, disappearing from our lives, either because they think you're an evil witch, or because you're just crazy, or just, life takes them away, and sometimes you end up finding yourself feeling alone. So what's going on here? I know in relationships, too, when one person, embarks on a path going one direction and the other doesn't stay with it, sometimes they, just unconsciously want to run away because it's scary. And I've also experienced other times that they are actually being influenced, albeit unconsciously, by something other than what's happening here in the physical realm. What are your thoughts on that? Uh-oh. Oh, shoot. Okay, looks like she's dropping out here for a moment. But I do have faith that Sakti will be back. Let's see. Okay, well, I guess in the meantime, I guess I can... Oh, all right, here we go. Let's see. Excuse me. Bear with us here as we are trying to get her back. But, darn, this show is going way too perfect. Alrighty. But, okay. So, yeah, you know what? I'll just share with you some of my experiences with Moldavite. I know this is not the topic. We're going to wait for the expert, Sakti, to come share the rest with us. But it's just kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of like a kid in a candy store, I guess, in this life. I am not much for, I have a high respect for ritual and rote and, the way people do things. But for me, I don't like to be programmed by anything, whether it's TV or some blog or some spirit. So I went into the Moldavite thing just completely blind, and it literally wasn't like till a month later where my friend realized, like, Christie, it's the Moldavite. No, it's not. It's just a rock. I already made this contract. I've been working on this stuff for years and years and years. So, maybe it could be just a coincidence that these things started coming to the surface and speeding up after I acquired the rock, or it really could have something to do with the rock itself. I really have no answers for you on that. Christie would be a crappy computer. You're right. I totally would be. Yeah, it happens. Okay, sorry, just communicating here with the board. But anyways, we will get Sakti back here soon. I wish we had our caller line so y'all could call in, but if there is somebody who would like to speak and you are on our Skype, then go ahead and send us a message and we can bring you on that way until we get the rest of this situation solved. But Yeah, the Moldavite thing. I don't even know what to say, but I will thank one of the listeners who did just send me some more this week, as if I need more. I don't know. It's like this great experiment. Let's see how far we can push her till she pops. Snap, crackle, pop. Yeah, that's me. Whatever. Again, I'm just along for the ride. I have no idea what's going on. I don't care if it's 3D, 4D, 12D, a billion D. All it is my experience, and that's the only truth I know. But I do, getting back to what I was trying to discuss with Sakti is, people are going to leave you on your path for all things. There is always a reason. There is always a season. Even the 100-year-old oak tree does not stand there forever. Imagine two little beautiful butterflies coming together, and they spend those beautiful moments, encircling each other for, 30 seconds or even a lifetime to them, and then they part ways. It's just part of the ebb and flow in life, and that's definitely something I'm starting to understand rather than hanging on to the old that is not serving me, whether that has to do with people in my life, whether that has to do with people in my mind, right? Those different aspects of ego or our personality or whatever it is that we hold on.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
Welcome to the world's meeting place. American.
It's practically narcotic.
Freedom.
Oh, yes. I like very much.
Radio.
You're an American institution.
American Freedom Radio.
Soul Journeys Radio on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. Our special guest tonight is Shaman Avalon Sakti, and we are talking about some of the machinations or mechanisms of the dark side, some of the things that might get in your way on your spiritual path. And, just because some of these things are possible doesn't mean all of them are going to happen to you. I definitely don't want to negatively program anyone with, fear this because someone's going to get you. I mean, obviously, I'm here, you're here, so that in itself says all we need to know. Whatever it is on our path, we will end up being exactly where we need to be, in my opinion. And Sakti, before you got cut off, I was just asking you about, with the relationship thing, people might end up disappearing somehow, either because you're an evil witch or because you're just plain crazy and need to be locked up, or, just life happens and whisks them away, and sometimes it feels really lonely and scary at times. So what's going on here?
Well, I've encountered that as well. Some of it was really just sometimes people don't resonate with you anymore when you're changing. It's not even the things you say. You can try to fit in and try to be normal, in quotation marks, talking about the stupid things that most people talk about, like what's on TV and so on. But you will also lose interest being with those people. So some people you lose because your resonance changes. Some people will get actively aggressive towards you, even you don't tell them anything about anything weird you're doing. You don't have to go out there and say, I'm a shaman now, or I'm doing shamanism, or I'm practicing magic, by the way, which would freak a lot of people out. I understand that.
No.
But even if you seem to be completely normal, you don't say anything, you will find that people react to you because they can feel your vibration. And you have to understand that the forces of darkness always try to bring down the ones who are in the light. So that's just a constant battle here on this planet, and the battle isn't yet decided. So if you're starting to come into a really much higher vibration, things will get thrown at you to discourage you from your path. And it's happened to me too. And also, you know, I find that some of the negativity comes through maybe non-physical entities, and some of it comes through the system and the various facilities of the system. So you can suddenly get problems with your social welfare, or maybe, you know, you find that authorities seem to be treating you in an unfair way, and all of these things happen simultaneously with other things going on. I do know that I had the tires of my car slashed in a very clever way, so that it was always on the valve, so that you wouldn't see it until you'd driven for a while, and then it would start losing air. And this happened on 3 different tires and exactly the same place, and it was always a nice straight cut, like you do with a box cutter. I wouldn't call it tear and wear if it has got no jagged edges. And so there are some things going on that may actually be certain. You seem to be. I think it's possible that we step on certain people's feet just by who we are, Christie.
Yeah, it's an energy thing, isn't it? Like, you don't have to tell anyone what you're doing or what you're thinking, but they know.
I think so, because I think the dark side's got a lot of demonic entities working for them. And I mean, you, Christie, you can understand that you're out there in the light of the public. You have a Facebook page. You tell people everything about your life, and you're having a truth radio show. So obviously, you know, you get it. And I think many people cannot understand that people like you are holding the torch for so many others who are too cowardly to do something to make a positive change. And this really needs to be honored. We need to honor our true heroes who come out and do something. Some of us just in a little way, and some of us in a big way. You know, not everybody has the same role to play. I'm not having a show like you have, Christie, and I had problems already before I ever started the radio show, that things got thrown at me from all sides simultaneously.
Oh, yeah, you're doing the work. Sakti's definitely one of the heroes.
Nah. Far from it, you know.
And everyone I've talked to, so.
I do hope I'm going to earn my place in Valhalla, though.
You already have, if it's up to me. Let me ask you this, though, Sakti. You brought up, you know, the dark forces will want to bring down the light. And in spiritual or self-proclaimed so-called spiritual circles, people would have you believe that, you know, they preach all this, oh, well, like attracts like, and the only reason people are trying to hurt you or bring you down is because you're just a negative little jerk inside. And, you know, like, they don't understand that the more, you know, yin-yang, the more good you put out there, the more bad you're going to get, too. It's not all love and light. And so what they end up doing is actually shaming and guilting people, you know, that are walking the path that you just described, people that would never even do it themselves. They want to just sit back and repeat something cool on Facebook, like, oh, well, you know, they're only having a hard time just, you know, because they're negative. And that's not, that's not the truth. It's like one of those spiritual half-truths that is being thrown around out there. And I also think that it helps discourage people from really going deep and doing the shadow work and really experiencing all that is, because they're taught, oh, well, it's negative and you're dark and you're doing something wrong. So can you shed some light, real light, on this topic, please?
I'd like to say that I'm not the only one who's come to these conclusions. I have a book about the goddess Sekhmet. I think the author is, Robert Masters, but definitely something with Masters. You can look it up. I like this book very much. And somewhere in this book, he was saying that sometimes a child is born that has no particular potential for the light, for goodness. And then the dark side will try to take these children out, often in young years, and they may not even live to adulthood. So I think this is an age-old phenomena, that there is a struggle going on between the forces of light and darkness on this planet. And in the Vedic scriptures, it's also described as a battle between the gods, or the devas, and the demons, or the asuras. So, and this battle is going on all the time, and it's going on in the other dimensions. It's also going on within ourselves, that we are in battle with the negative forces within ourselves that we need to conquer if we want to rise to higher consciousness.
Yeah. I just, somebody was talking about being targeted, and how the dark forces always like to target the dark side, which is kind of what we're talking about here tonight. And I would just like to encourage those that may be falling for that fake love and light garbage, and, have yourself wondering what you're doing wrong. You're not doing anything wrong, in my opinion. They only target those that are on target, okay? If you weren't making a difference, if you weren't hitting something that, call them archons, call them whatever you want, they would not be targeting you if you are not on target, right?
That's right.
They want you back in that fear paradigm. They want you back in that powerlessness. And as soon as you get a glimpse of it and start to realize your own worth, yeah, things happen, but it's not because you brought it on, because you're so dark and negative.
No, I think there's a lot of guilt manipulation, and also what you described before, I think there's a lot of jealousy. And just think of a very simple example. Sometimes when a woman is beautiful and slim, and then other women see her, and they will immediately have negative remarks of, she must have had surgery, and things like that, just to belittle her and put it down, and make people feel bad. And some people, instead of developing something good within themselves, like to pull others down on their level, which is just really a real low life, attitude.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help us on this planet when people act like this. When you see something great that others have and you don't have it, then just try to develop it within yourself instead of belittling them out of your hatred for yourself and for them.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, yeah, you know what? Yeah, we're so right on target. I'm just reading the comments in the chat. And, people, obviously I'm not the only one that has fallen for those lies and abused myself even more. But, as one of the chatters pointed out, it's like your light antagonizes them. And so then we're taught, just love them and they'll love you back and that's all there is. And that's not true either. You can't love a crocodile into becoming a butterfly. You just can't. A crocodile is a crocodile. A butterfly is a butterfly. And when you entangle those energies, now don't get me wrong, you can love them from afar by allowing them to exist and serve their purpose. But you cannot bring them into your sphere and think, oh, well, if I just make them some pumpkin pie, they're going to love me and everything's going to be okay and then they're going to leave me alone. Ain't going to happen. Use Thomas Sheridan's rules for psychopaths. No contact ever, period. Because you entangle with them even when you are sending them what you think is love. That puts you on the radar, not just physically, but energetically. And then they're like, ooh, well, I can hook into that. And, so another downward spiral.
It's very true, Christie. I agree with you. The true evil, first of all, hates everything that is good and pure and innocent, and it tries to destroy that and defile it. And so that type of evil doesn't change no matter what you do, because they've already made their choice. And the better you are, the greater the goodness in you, and the greater the light and the compassion, the more they will hate you. And also you're right. The true nature of a being doesn't change. You may love a crocodile, but would you want to go into the pond with it?
Exactly. That's their pond. They can have their pond. You dark workers can have your pond, whatever. But, yeah, there's so much confusion, and I'm reading the comments here, and I'm glad we brought this up, because apparently people did need to hear this tonight. So,
and don't forget, we've been brainwashed because the agents of evil have taken over our education system, the media, and so many other, authorities, and they've taken over the police, and what not? What is it that they haven't got yet? The only thing they haven't got yet is your soul and your heart. Yeah. So don't let them get that.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Okay, so let's get back to some questions in the chat. Here's the first one, random question for Shakti. Why is it that the negative entities that I have encountered are most active at 3 a.m.?
Yeah, I had also encountered, like in the early morning hours, sometimes between 3 to 5, I had things happening, or maybe between 2 and 5, it depends. There was a time I was attacked actually in the early morning hours, and but that's many years ago, because I don't get direct attacks against me anymore. Haven't for years now. I don't exactly know why it is the 3 a.m., okay, it could be that you're more vulnerable because of your particular energy. You can look up, I think there is a kind of meridian clock, which meridian is active at what time of the day. And if you have a particularly weak meridian that is active at 3 o'clock, if that meridian is weak in you, then it's a possibility that you're more vulnerable. But I think that generally after midnight is when the dark forces get quite strong.
Okay, and some people would call it witching hour. Is that just another one of those Hollywood things, Shakti?
No, I do like magic at midnight, I must say, midnight and 1 o'clock. But I must also say that almost all my articles are written between 1 o'clock in the night and 5 in the morning.
Yeah, I like my quiet early morning or nighttime, whatever you want to call it as well. It just, for me, I'm able to hear better and see better, and I don't know if that has something to do with less hustle and bustle, with other active energies around, but, yeah. Okay, so, all right, here's the next question. Is there a way to disenchant an item that you think may contain dark energy, say a relic?
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
News and information you can trust. This is American Freedom Radio. Freedom, American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
Last segment here, Soul Journeys Radio on freedomradio.com. And we've got David in the sound room trying to work some magic. We got a caller we're trying to get a hold of. So let's see where we're at. Oh, okay. So we have Amy on. Can she hear us? Amy, are you there? Okay, I don't hear anything. She's on. I'm not sure. Okay.
Amy, are you there?
I do.
I am.
Make this work. We do have a caller on the line somewhere.
She's there.
I am here. Hello?
Oh, all right. We got a live one. How you doing?
How are you?
Oh, good. Okay, glad we got a hold of you. Sorry for the technical issues here tonight. So glad you stayed patient with us.
Yeah, that happens. So.
Yeah, what do you have to share with us tonight?
I can't hear you very well, though. Can you hear me?
Uh-huh. I hear you loud and clear.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, so what do you have to share with us?
Well, my path has actually been, I really relate to your subject matter for tonight's program because that is the life that I lived. It's exactly what happened to me about 3 years ago. I'm on this beautiful path of enlightenment and soul-searching and realization, and it was a beautiful time in my life, and I really felt like nothing could stop me because my progress and everything that was expanding in my life spiritually, and I was doing well on other levels too with my career, and all of a sudden it was like something switched in my daughter. And, I mean, talk about a vulnerable spot for me. And she was 13 at the time. So very, very easily influenced. And it was like I didn't know her anymore. And it got so bad that I actually had to take her to inpatient psychiatric hospital, which absolutely broke my heart. And it was everything in my life was derailed because of what was happening to her. And I didn't understand it because this wasn't something that was in my life or in my space or that I believed in or looked for or even researched or heard about. It wasn't something that was in my space until it was actually in my space. So at that point, I mean, there were times I talked to her and I knew when it was her and when it wasn't her. And it was so bad that I had to go get medicated. I mean, it completely took me offline. I went to the doctor. I'm like, I can't function. I can't function every day of my life. I mean, it was so horrible and just disabling. And that's actually how I ended up meeting Avalon eventually because my sister was so busy looking for answers for me because I didn't know where to go or what to do. And she saw how it was just dismantling my life. So she had found Shakti's website, and I was able to contact her. And it's the first person that actually made sense of what was going on in my life. It's like, okay, I don't really believe this, but this is exactly what is happening. So how do I not believe it when it's the reality I'm living? So, you know, for those people that may be thinking this is far-fetched, well, you know what? That was me 3 years ago until it was absolutely in my face and through my daughter. And I'm a single mom. Her dad's been out of our life for about 5 years. So really, it's just me. I don't have anybody to fall back on. So to take me offline, wow. I mean, it was horrible. And I'm just so glad now as I've continued to strengthen myself and not let those things influence me, even through her, which, oh my God, I can't even tell you how that feels. But that is kind of the point where they stopped bugging her as much when they knew they couldn't get to me through her. So it really propelled me a lot further on my path because I had to get bigger guns because the ones I had didn't work. And so, I mean, and now she's doing beautiful. She's going to school. She's getting okay grades. And there's light in her eyes again. But I can't even tell you the horror that I felt. And every day still I look in her eyes and it's like, is she still there? What a nightmare to live.
Oh, honey, thank you so much for sharing that with us. I know it has to be hard. I'm a mother myself. Similar situation, but I guess that's for another show since we only have a few more minutes left here. But if you'd like to share with us what it was that, those bigger guns that got you back on your path together?
Oh, it was absolutely through learning some shamanic tools through Avalon that I could protect myself. So it was actually through having her mentor me. Those were the bigger guns that I got.
Wonderful.
And that was how I was able to fight back.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And you know what? Since you brought it up, I have to say Sakti has also helped me gain some bigger guns, so to speak, in situations that, just like you, Amy, that I never would have thought were real. I used to believe, well, if you don't believe in it, it doesn't exist for you, therefore you can't be affected by it. And
oh, yeah.
Boy, was I wrong. So.
And I hate being wrong.
Yeah, of course. So she definitely better equipped me to deal with those types of situations, and rather than just, at least kind of put a name on those feelings and, just giving me the ammo I needed to be able to deal with it myself. So good for you.
And my daughter has even started taking tuition as well so that she can protect herself, which is beautiful.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Excellent. Well, I'm going to be posting that link again. Her website is sacredserpent.net. All of these things we're talking about. Sakti would rather teach you to do it yourself. So whether you're listening to her on the show or the videos or whatever, she can teach you to do all of these things. She's not one of those that, like, hey, come back to me for more. And she's like, nope, just get out. Here,
yeah, no, absolutely empowering. So once you get on your feet, then...
I wish I could hear you better, Amy, right now, or you could hear us better, but we are going to get cut off here in just a couple minutes. So I want to thank you for calling in and bearing with us through the magic technological tricks that David had to go through to get you on here with us tonight. And Sakti, we have 2 minutes left. So what would you like to share with us in our time remaining?
I think the most important thing so that the dark side doesn't affect you is you do regular purification of yourself and your space. And you choose your friends very wisely. You get rid of negative people in your life that pull you down. And you find methods of coping mentally with the stress that may occur when stuff gets thrown at you, as well as, find out who you really are so that you are confident in yourself even if you get criticized by people from the outside.
Yes, definitely. It's not just going to happen. Anything you do, right?
Yeah, and remember, when you're in service of the light, the dark side will attack you. So the more they attack you, the more good you obviously are doing. So keep on with what you're doing and don't let other people deter you and distract you and get you off your path.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's probably the most important. And, when it does seem like things are coming down on you with a vengeance from all sides simultaneously, just remember there is hope. All of these feelings that we feel, thank God, are only temporary. And, one thing that helps me is that I just realized that, and rather than resisting it and fighting it, let that part of my ego die and be open to what is to come, because all of these things, there's always a reason for everything, and I have to look back at these darker times, including what Amy has described to us here tonight, instrumental in my growth and making me who I am today. And I have a lot more work to do. I've got a long ways to go. I'm not claiming that I'm there by any means, but I know I get stronger and stronger each time.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
You're listening to the future of talk. American Freedom Radio. This is American Freedom Radio.